Today we're going to be talking a little bit about knowledge, and even before that we're going to tie some loose ends from last week. We talked about philosophy, and there were some questions about that, so I want to cross some T's and dot some I's, or vice versa, maybe dot the T's and cross the I's. And we also have a couple of flat earthers who raised questions. They wanted to know how we curve water, especially without a container. And usually they don't wait for an answer. They never investigate. They never come back for an answer. But this time one of them did. And he had some further questions. So we're going to address that as well at the end of the show. Universe is a concept, yes. Concept, a word that invokes or embodies two objects or two words treated as objects. So the fellow says, are you suggesting that we live inside a concept? We're living within a concept? And this is important also for the flat earthers who say, what do you mean? You can curve water without a container, so to speak. So it's like they're suggesting that, the universe is some kind of container, space is some kind of container. That's what they're insinuating. That's what they have in the backs of their minds. And so we have to go slowly for these people and say, universe, we define it as matter and space. Okay, matter and space. Matter is all the atoms out there, okay, in existence. They have distance with respect to each other. Each one has location. That's independent of consciousness, true, like Miss Ayn Rand said. And the other portion of the word universe is space. So what is space? Well, space is a synonym of nothing, and that is that which has no shape. An object is that which has shape. Space is that which does not have shape. If it doesn't have shape, it doesn't have a border. It doesn't have a surface. It doesn't have a perimeter. And so not even God can get out of that which doesn't have shape. There's no border to cross. Okay, so space is not a container. It's not a thing. Okay? And so the issue is, the way you have to look at this is the atoms in your body form part of the matter that comprises the so-called universe. Universe is matter and space. Your atoms form part of the matter. It's not contained within any container. Okay? It's floating in nothingness. There is no such thing as space. There is no such thing as nothingness. And so you cannot escape nothingness. No atom can leave space because it would have nowhere to go, because there's no place to cross. There is no border to cross. Not even God can escape space. Okay? And so to say that we inhabit or live within the universe is what the irrational statement is. Okay? So that's the way you're supposed to look at that under rational physics, rational science. Okay? Paul says, your definitional framework for the foundation of physics. You want to exclude physical law, experiment, and measurement? In that framework, how do you define, right, your claim that water forms globular shapes in space? Okay? More or less along the line of reasoning of flat earthers. First, try to prove, okay, that a space vacuum can even exist. We just proved that it can't exist because vacuum, space are synonyms, by the way. Vacuum, space, and nothing, all three are synonyms. And they're concepts because an object is that which has shape, so we don't have to worry about existence there, okay? And so no, space, vacuum, nothing do not exist because concepts do not exist. Only objects may be said to exist. And nothing is that which doesn't have shape, which is what an object is, that which has shape. Okay, how can we have a pressurized system next to a space vacuum without some sort of container? So let's get the first issues here. The fact that he says physical law, experiment, and measurement. Okay, let's address those first, because this poor fellow is so lost he doesn't even know who he is, who his mother is. So no such monster as physical law, not in science. Science, we don't deal with laws, and there's no such thing as a physical law. The word law was introduced by the mathematicians. In science, we say science is about rational explanation, and science is not about experiments or about measurements. Okay, we don't deal with experiments or measurements. Those belong exclusively to mathematical physics. So here we have in this site, we do something different than mathematical physics. In science, we don't prove, and in science, concepts do not exist. Space is nothing, which is a concept. Therefore, it's irrational to say that nothing exists. Okay, so I hope we covered that base. What do we propose instead? Well, we propose something different to answer his last issue there. How can we have a pressurized system next to a space vacuum without some sort of a container? This is the issue that has the flat earthers up at nights, okay? They can't sleep because of this. So let's begin slowly. Let's see if we can take them by the hand, step by step, where their reasoning fails. Okay, flat earthers and all the people who say, how can you curve water, essentially, right? That's the issue. Okay, well, let's start slowly. Okay, we'll go slowly, and here it is. Mathematical physics proposes discrete particles. There's no relation between any particles. There's space to say that exists between particles. In other words, particles are not touching each other. They're all separated. Okay, this is what mathematical physics has. This is what we've had for the last 3,000 years. That's why they cannot explain gravity, they cannot explain magnetism, they cannot explain light or the workings of the atom, because they work with discrete particles. Anyone working with particles should be kicked out of science, because if in 3,000 years you haven't figured out that you cannot do physics, the invisible stuff, intangible stuff that Mother Nature does every day, like gravity and magnetism, if you haven't realized in 3,000 years that you can't do it with discrete particles, then you got a mental problem. Okay, so this is the way we look at it. What do we propose instead? We propose that all atoms in the universe are physically interconnected. Physically interconnected. Something is connecting every atom in the universe. I hope you see the difference. Right now I'm just telling you what we propose here so that you can understand the answer to the question that was asked, okay? Which is, how do you curve water? That's what we're getting to, okay? So first we have to separate mathematical physics, discrete particles, from the rope model, which is all atoms are physically interconnected. Okay, that's where we start. We don't ask that you believe, we ask that you take this as an assumption. We're going to make this assumption, okay? Hopefully we've got this under our skin now, okay? Okay, so let's remove this. Give me a second here. Okay, so we're saying that all atoms are physically interconnected. We got that so far? I hope I didn't lose any person out there. This is kindergarten stuff, okay? Okay, so what do we propose? We propose that, why does the Earth go around the sun? Again, we're proposing this here. It doesn't mean you have to believe us, okay? We're saying, what are we proposing? We're saying, why does the Earth go around the sun? Well, you just saw that all atoms are physically interconnected. That means that every atom of the Earth, including every atom of you, is connected to every atom of the sun, which is connected to every atom of the moon. Every atom in your body is connected to every atom of my body right through the Earth. That's the proposal. That's the assumption. Okay? Understand the assumption. We're not asking you to believe. We're asking you to make believe, right, that it is true, that that's what's out there, that all atoms are physically interconnected. Okay, that's where we start. So how do we explain the orbit of the Earth around the sun according to this model? Okay, let's get all this right. We're saying that if every atom is interconnected, the sun twirls the Earth around itself, and the Earth twirls the moon around itself. Okay, and here you see the Earth orbit, okay, because every atom of the Earth is bound to every atom of the sun. What is space? Nothing. There's no friction with nothing, because nothing is that which has no shape. There is no thing called space, so there is no friction, and therefore the Earth can roll around forever because the sun is twirling it by the electromagnetic ropes, which is what we're saying interconnects any two atoms. So all atoms of the Earth are connected to every single atom of the sun. The sun twirls the Earth around through these mediators that we cannot see or touch, okay? And that's why the Earth rolls around the sun and doesn't lose speed, because it doesn't have any friction with space. The Earth does the same thing to the moon. Okay, so every atom of the moon is bound to every atom of the Earth, including you. So every atom of your body is bound to every atom of the moon. That's why you can see the moon, because light propagates along that mediator all the way to your eye. Otherwise, you would not see the moon. The reason you see the moon, you see it through the electromagnetic ropes that interconnect every atom of the moon to every atom in your eye. Okay? We got it so far? Do you believe in it? We don't care. We don't care if you believe. We're asking you to make believe. You have to concede the assumption to understand the theory founded upon that assumption. Okay? Do we have that straight? Okay, so we're going to make an assumption that all atoms in the universe are physically interconnected. We're saying that every atom of the Earth is bound to every atom of the sun. The sun twirls the Earth around more or less like I'm going to twirl this ball. There is a physical connection. I only have one here. Okay, I can't make the gazillions of atoms that are bound from the ball to my finger, but this is what happens. This is how the sun twirls the Earth around. And we do the same thing to the moon. That's the mechanism we're proposing. We're saying that the reason people missed this throughout all these years is that they thought an object, that a thing, an entity, was that which you can see or touch. And that's where the irrationality started. We're saying that a thing is not that which you can see or touch. It's that which has shape. And not all objects we can see or touch, among them the air. Hopefully the air is something, and we cannot see the air. We can touch it, but we can't see it. And there are other things that we cannot even see or touch. Okay, but anyways, so now we get to this issue. So far, I hope you understood that much. Okay, now we get to the issue of water curving around the earth. Okay, so we're going to show you a little video, a little quick video of why, what causes, the mechanism of how water, not only water, but air as well, curves around the spherical, more or less spherical earth. Okay, that's what we're going to show now. We're going to show you a movie. So we can keep our mouth shut if we wanted to, but we're going to give you a little explanation in the background so that you know what you're staring at, okay? But I think it'll be self-evident once you see it. Okay, here it goes, okay? Very slowly for all of you. Okay, let me put it over here. Okay, here you have the earth. And the dark blue is the ocean. The oceans, we divided them into oceans, but they're all really connected. It's like we have a single ocean on earth, no problem, either way that you want to see it. The dark blue are the oceans. And you can see it's a 2D version, but you have to imagine that as a globe, as a spherical type of object. The earth, okay? And the water is curved around that earth. That's what we're proposing, okay? Why? Because every atom of the water, every atom that forms the ocean, every single atom is bound to every other atom of the earth, including to parts of the ocean that are on the other side of the planet, okay? So we have this atom is connected to the one on the other side of the atom, and the other atom here is connected to the other side to an atom on the other side of the atom of the earth. Okay, and if you put all these together, well, you end up with a sphere. Okay, that's what you end up with. Why? Because they're all tending towards the center. That's what gravity is, and mass. What it is essentially everything tending towards the center. Everything's being drawn towards the center, and that creates a spherical object. And that's why almost every object in the universe is spherical. Why are they spherical? Well, the Earth, we say here, was a star. It used to be a sun. Okay, it was a star. That's how you can create a spherical object such as the Earth, okay? Because every star, because of its great gravity, because everything's tending towards the center of that object, forms a spherical surface that eventually compresses little by little by little by little, okay? And eventually creates the elements by fusing them together. So you have the heavier elements. You take hydrogen and helium, and you compress them all the way to iron and higher elements. That's what we're doing. That's what the Earth is. Earth is made that way. That's why we're saying the Earth used to be a sun, used to be a star. That was compressed into this cinder known as a black dwarf. That's what the Earth is. And then, as you can see, not only do the elements go from heavier in the center of the Earth to lighter on the outside, all the way to gases, which is what the air is that's covering our planet. Gases such as nitrogen and oxygen and so on. Okay, but what's the issue? Now you have the air. Why does the air stay? I mean, there's no container. There's nothing on the outside of air, nothing on the outside of water, except space, which we said is nothing. It's not a container because it's not a thing. It doesn't have shape. So why does all this stay and curve around the spherical Earth? Well, again, there we see little atom that I'm showing, little red one there. Here is over there. Now you see it on the bottom, on the side, sorry, and now you'll see it on the bottom, okay? Where are they being tugged towards? Well, they're all tugged eventually towards the center of the Earth. That's why the air does not leave our planet. That's why the further the air is, the lighter it is. There's fewer and fewer atoms further out. And the farther away it is, the less pull it has towards the center of the Earth, and at some point there is no air. And you get into absolute space where maybe you find an atom here and there, maybe, you know. But the issue is that explains why the Earth is spherical, why water curves around the Earth, why air curves around the spherical Earth. Because all atoms are physically interconnected. Do you believe it? We don't care. Do you accept it? We don't care. We explain to you so that you understand the mechanism, okay? And the cause. And once you understand that, you reach your own conclusion. Whether you believe it or not is your personal opinion, and good luck with that. You know, we don't care. That's religion. We're talking about physics. We're trying to explain cause mechanism, and we explained it there. We're saying all atoms are physically interconnected. That leads to spherical objects, celestial objects, and which leads, in the case of the Earth and some other planets, with a gaseous surface that is also connected to a more solid, usually, interior of that object. Okay? But here, let me show you another one, because you say, okay, that's gravity. What if I have just a droplet, like, you know, here, these people have this notion that, you know, that water is only level. Let's see if I can level like that, you know. It's level. Why? Because what happens is that here we're relying on gravity. And if it weren't for the glass, this thing wouldn't have a level surface. It would not be flat, you know. And so they say, well, this is my experience. This is the experience these people have, the flat earthers. And so they say, you know, show me that you can curve that. Well, yeah, you won't do it with your rubber ducky in your bathtub, okay? You won't see light water curving in your bathtub because you don't have the mass in the water to do what I just showed you with the earth, the oceans of the earth and the gases, air, you know, that cover the earth, okay? But let me show you something that you can visualize, okay? We're talking about visualization so that you understand. That's what we're talking about here. We're not asking you to believe. We're asking you to understand. You reach your own conclusion. Okay, so here it goes. Very easy. We have an astronaut, and he releases water into space. Okay, maybe a bucket of water, so he just throws the water out there without the baby. Okay, so he throws water out there. He throws a blob of water. It is in no container whatsoever. Okay, all we have is a blob of water. There's no container because space is not a container. Space is nothing. That which has no shape, so it doesn't qualify as a container. He's going to release a bundle of water, okay? And here it is, okay? And does that thing have shape? Does that water have shape? That drop of water. It could be a drop of water, it could be a bucket of water. It's water or some kind of liquid. We don't care. The point here is, does that thing have shape? And you say, well, I don't know. Okay, so let's stop it. Okay, there it is. Okay? What you're staring at, we took a snapshot of that. Does that have shape? Does it have a container? And yeah, it has shape, but it has no container, and it's a liquid, some kind of liquid, okay? And so the issue here is, yes, you can have shape of water without a container. You do not need a container to curve water. And you can see the water is kind of curved there, isn't it? Okay, and we did it without putting it in a container. Okay, so we're just trying to make you understand. We're not trying to convince you or for you to believe. You believe whatever you want. All I'm saying is we have mechanisms. And the mechanism is, the first one is that all atoms are physically interconnected. That pulls everything towards the center. That explains why all celestial objects are spherical. You know, not perfectly spherical, but they are spheroids and whatever, you know, spherical-like. And it also explains why water and liquids and gases also curve around those objects. You know, you have Jupiter, it's just a bunch of gases. You have Mars, for those of you who believe this, you know, Mars is a planet that has CO2, so does Venus, that has CO2 around it. You say, why doesn't that CO2 fly away? It's a gas, isn't it? And gases tend to expand. Well, not there, not out there, because the gravity, in other words, the ropes to which each atom is attached, does not allow it to leave the planet. That's why gases form an envelope around these planets. Okay, now we do have a true, genuine flat earther, and he's the guy who went out there and actually looked at this, so he has a question, okay? So finally I had someone who actually goes out there and tries to understand what I'm saying when I'm saying, you know, that water and air can curve around the earth, okay? So here's his question. He says, where's the mechanism for the observation of gravity? How does this mechanism work? Okay? How is it able to hold massive standing bodies of water onto a globe so that the water is not level but instead rotund? In other words, he's referring again to this. This is his experience that, you know, water just falls because of gravity, right? And leaves a flat surface, okay? So this is his experience. So he hasn't evolved beyond this. This is the issue. So this is what he bases his experience on, and this is the only thing he regurgitates, okay? Reality demonstrates the physics of water, okay? Again, he's talking about this case only. That alone is enough to know it's not a globe, okay? Would love to get a response on this, okay? And show some real-world physics of standing bodies of water with a curved surface. So I showed him the same thing that I just showed for this other fellow. Here it is, okay? That every atom is connected, physically connected to every atom on Earth. So it's pulled in that direction, okay? So everything pulls towards the center of the Earth. And that explains why water curves around the round dish Earth. And air, you know, encapsulates the spherical Earth. What does this fellow say? Okay, he follows up and he says, finally understood, imaginary fantasy mathematical ropes. I don't know where he got the mathematical part because this has nothing to do with mathematics. They said, where are these ropes, Bill? Okay, that's now that he understood it, now he's going to question where the ropes are. But at least I think he understood the mechanism. I think he did, I can't say for sure, okay? But he apparently now at least understands the mechanism. Now he's questioning whether they exist. Where are they? Why can't I see or touch these ropes. That's what he's talking about. See, all these people are looking for an experiment. They want you to prove through some kind of evidence, meaning experiment, meaning see, touch, right, that the ropes are binding any two atoms. Now, we can't see an atom, one atom. You can't see any atom, not even the uranium atom. You cannot see it. You would have to go to a microscope or even a high-powered microscope such as a SEM or an atomic force microscope. Then you might see not the individual atom with the little electron rolling around. That you won't see. What you'll see is a bird's eye view of something which is roundish, which again shows that an atom is really more like what we say a membrane that encapsulates a proton star, and not what quantum mechanics says, which is a little bead that's rolling around. Because that's not what we see. We do not see a little bead rolling around when we look through the SEM, and I did work with SEMs, by the way, and or an atomic force microscope. That's not what you would see. You do not see a little ball rolling around. What you see is a membrane. Okay, you see a ball. Okay, so we're saying that all atoms are interconnected. You can't see an atom, but he wants to see the ropes that interconnect two atoms, which we can't see. He wants to be able to touch them. And so he says, where are these ropes? And again, these people are looking for proof. We're not here for proof. First of all, you cannot prove anything that's invisible, intangible. We cannot prove anything that's invisible, intangible. I cannot bring it to you and show it to you because it's invisible, intangible. Okay? So what do? Well, we do the spoon experiment to show why their logic fails. Okay? I let go of a spoon. Okay? Here we have a spoon. Little spoon. Okay? I let go of a spoon. And we all know, we don't believe, we know, right, that it's going to fall downwards to the floor. Okay, we do this experiment every day. Real world physics. Real world physics. You let go of the spoon, it falls to the floor. Okay, we know this. We have the experience with it. Now here's the million-dollar question. Please listen carefully. Can you see or touch anything above or below the spoon other than the air? Is there something else here that you can see or touch other than the air? And of course, if you went out into space and there's no atoms out there, you're completely between two galaxies, completely in the middle of space, nothing there, and you do the experiment again, you won't find anything above or below. There's not even going to be any air in there, okay? So the question is, here you have a spoon. You let go of it, it falls to the floor. There's nothing above it, nothing below it. Is there nothing here? Is there something here or nothing here? If you say there isn't, because you can't see or touch it, because it's invisible, intangible, you are going to do this experiment. You're going to explain this experiment with black magic. You're invoking black magic. You can't use a concept such as density. You can't use the word gravity. Whatever word you use, it better not be a concept. You need a physical object to say that this came down. It's like saying you pulled on the horse and the horse came towards you. But you use no rope, you use no elongated object such as a rope or a wire or a cable or anything like that. You just went like this and the horse came towards you. So how do you explain that? Well, if you explain it without an elongated object between your hands and the horse, you're using black magic. You did it by magic. You have no explanation for how that horse came towards you. And the same thing here. If I let go of the spoon and you're saying there's nothing here above or below it, no particles pushing, no ropes pulling, then you're doing black magic. You're saying that this fell down because of black magic. Same thing here. And when you say this is level, why? And I'm sure that if I break the glass or turn it upside down, that water's going to fall to the floor. That's our experience. Why does that water fall to the floor? What's pulling on it? What's pushing on it? Please identify the invisible, intangible object that is pulling or pushing on the water. And if you say there's no object because I cannot see or touch it, you're going to do your explanation with black magic. So you have a choice. You either go with the ropes or you go with black magic. If you have a third option, could be particles, whatever. But if you have another option, please let me know, okay? Let me know how you're going to explain why that water is level. And don't use any concepts. We need physical objects. We need an object that we can that you can illustrate. So you need to do a lot of pictures, okay? And so here, this is how we explain why, what causes the spoon to fall to the floor. Here it is, okay? All atoms of the spoon are connected to every atom on Earth. Every atom of the floor, every atom, all the way to the center of the Earth and to the other side. So I haven't drawn the gazillions of ropes that connect every atom of the spoon to every atom on Earth. You have to imagine that. What we're saying is the reason the spoon falls is the ropes that connect every atom are fanning out. They open up, right? And you have more and more individual ropes that are not aligned, that are essentially causing this acceleration to happen. That's our explanation. You don't have to believe it. We don't care if you believe it or not. We're giving you an explanation of why the spoon, what causes the spoon to fall to the floor. If you say there's nothing there between the spoon and the floor, you are doing it with black magic. Okay, so your job is to explain gravity. Why, what causes the spoon to fall to the floor. Hopefully you're using objects, you're using things. You're not using abstract concepts such as mass, force, field, wave, any of those. You can't use concepts. You have to use a physical object. Physical object, that which has shape. Okay? You don't like my definition? Bring a better mousetrap. Defend your definition first before you even begin to talk.